back in session. We're going to be dealing with a zoning violation matter in a couple of files following Mike Ledyard. File 222344 and 23478. So these are both old. So I'm going to again get started. Thank you again for saying hello. These are two matters, as I said, in the matter of Mike Ledyard. Mr. Ledyard is here. The older case, 222344, was a ticket that was issued in December of 2022 for unlicensed and inoperable motor vehicles, RV, scrap, junk, and debris from a burned out mobile home on the property on Nottawa Road. I don't believe it's in the city of Sturgis Township. And we've had some hearings on that. We're here in August, and we entered a compliance order on August 9th of 2023, and I admitted a number of exhibits. Then we're here again on January 11th, and there were still issues of the compliance order. And you'd had some things done, and I continued this to a live in-person hearing today on that compliance order from the summer of 23. In the other case, the newer one, that is a civil infraction ticket in file 23478 that alleged that you were living or sleeping in an unattached garage with electrical cord running from the neighbor's property. And we took testimony on that matter as well. And that matter was also continued from January 11th until this date. Attorney Roxanne Sieber is here on behalf of the township. Also, their zoning official, Mike Hayden, is here, and Joe Wicke, the building inspector, is also present. Ms. Sieber, what's the status here today?
Your Honor, Mr. Hayden did go out and take some photographs on the 30th that I did present to Mr. Ledyard, and I also do have for presentation to the court. There remains unlicensed, inoperable motor vehicles and some level of junk outside on the subject property as of January the 30th. With respect to the living in the garage, Mr. Wicke is actually the zoning administrator and building official. He can give us a little bit of the history. If you recall, there was some issue about some electrical that had been added. I do again have current photographs of that from Mr. Hayden. The wood stove has not been removed. There appears to be a wired cable, an antenna of some sort outside. There is a hose running to the next door neighbors. There's electrical cords outside, and we did have Mr. Ledyard was ordered not to live there. However, it is apparent, at least from Mr. Hayden's photographs, that there's still at least footprints outside. And while he hasn't observed anybody coming in and out of the building, obviously there's still some level of use for it.
Well, let's go ahead and admit your photographs, and then we'll hear more from the officers. As long as we're here, let's put everybody under oath. Mr. Ledyard, would you raise your hand? Mr. Hayden and Mr. Wicke, do you all swear or affirm any testimony you're about to give in these proceedings will be true to the best of your knowledge and belief?
I do.
Mr. Hayden, why don't you come right up into the witness stand? We'll do this like we're. Would you state your name for the record?
Michael Hayden.
All right, you're under oath. Ms. Seaver?
Yeah, Mr. Hayden, you're the ordinance enforcement officer for Sturgis Township in St. Joe County, is that correct?
Yes, it is.
And the property located at 69 Ottawa Road is located in Sturgis Township?
Yes, it is.
Can you please indicate what buildings, if any, are on the property?
There is a garage on the property and a more recent shed that was built out behind the garage.
Attached onto it?
It's not attached.
With respect to the history, was there ever a house on there? Do you know of?
There was a mobile home that burned prior to 2022 when I got involved. The township received complaints of the debris. So that's what started a lot of this.
And you know Mr. Ledyard occupies the building?
He had at the time of the ticket was doing that. And then prior to January 11th, he was seen coming and going with other people in the early morning hours by myself and neighbors.
And there were tracks out there, correct?
Yes,
Like
and tracks in the snow.
Okay. At this time, then you went out and had a look at the property on January the 30th and took some photographs. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, I've got these photographs that I've labeled A through A through D, and the first couple are two-sided. If I could have you have a look at those, the judge does have a copy. Can you indicate whether those photographs fairly and accurately represent the property as you observed it on the 30th?
Yes.
And what is it that those photographs depict?
These photographs, there are 7 photos showing inoperable vehicles, some junk. And then also debris and a generator around behind the shed and the garage on the property.
Is the generator connected?
It was not connected the day I was there, but there's a cord laying on the ground that goes up to the garage.
And that was on the 30th, it wasn't there?
Correct.
Okay.
That was on Tuesday.
Prior to that, it sounded like possibly you had seen it connected.
Yes, and previously, he had an electrical cord running to the neighbors, which he has disconnected, and that's when the generator started.
Okay. Can you indicate what, anything particular about that Indiana plate?
The white pickup truck the front end is jacked up and it's on jack stands. It has no license plate on it, but in the back window, it has what appears to be a temporary plate that has been written over in marker.
Okay. And what vehicles in those photographs are in violation of the ordinance?
The white pickup truck with no license plate. There is a red vehicle on a trailer in the back of the lot, and then there's a truck parked next to that with a red with part of the front end on that missing.
Okay, and what about it? Are there items of litter and junk still in the yard?
Yes, behind the garage and shed, there is some items piled up, a barrel and some other buckets, and there's a tire, a hot tub that does not appear to be hooked up, and there's some stuff piled around the tree. It's got tarps over it, so I don't know what was under it. And then along the side of out in front, there is a large hole with what looks to be some type of drainage hose that's wound up in it. I don't know if that's where the septic is or whatever, but and that's on page 1, the very first one.
Okay. Your Honor, at this time, I request admission of exhibits A through D.
In the front yard there, that big hole?
Yes, it's right in front of that where the door and the boarded up window are. There's a large stone right there.
Yes.
There is a propane tank on the property, but it is not hooked up that I can tell.
Are these all fair and accurate photographs of what you saw on January 30th?
Yes, they are.
Ms. Seaver, are you going to admit?
I would request admission of these first set of photographs that are labeled A through D.
Exhibits A to D are admitted. They're double-sided. I think there's 7 pictures.
In total, that's correct. Mr. Hayden, this particular building has come into question with respect to Mr. Ledyard living in it. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and would you please give some amount of history from the time that you issued the citation for living there in March of 2023?
I received complaints that they were living in the area. At the time, there was campers and other things that were being occupied as well. Those have since been removed, but inside the garage, they had a bedroom set up. There was a TV on the wall, a bed set up, dressers, furniture. The wood stove was in there, which was not properly or safely hooked up to code. There were other things that were stored that would be in a storage building, but the day that I had talked to Mr. Ledyard, I told him he could not live in it. They said they weren't living in it. They were just sleeping in it when they were tired. I said, that's not permitted under the ordinance. He was told and had agreed to not live it any longer. I gave him a time frame to do that. He agreed to it. And I believe it was about 30 days. When I went back 30 days, he was still there. So I wrote the citation.
Okay. Was there a kitchen in there?
No, there was not a kitchen. He had microwave, I believe, and some cooking appliances.
Bathtub, a bathing facility, anything like that?
Not that I saw,
Okay. Was it heated?
just with the wood stove.
Okay.
And there was no electricity at the time,
Was there a toilet?
not that I saw.
Mr. Hayden, did the property owner get the woods burner removed by August 13th, 2023?
No.
Do you know at the present time whether it is still being used?
When I was out there Tuesday, there was no smoke coming from it, but when I was out there the morning of the 11th before court, there was.
Okay, and it hasn't been removed, correct?
No,
Okay.
not to my knowledge. I
Um,
was not able to go inside Tuesday because no one was there.
okay. What about the power cord and the generator? Was that removed by August the 8th, 2023?
It is still on site as of Tuesday.
Okay, do you know whether he boarded up the garage to prohibit entry?
No, it has not.
Okay, and obviously it wasn't demolished, correct?
Correct.
So you had opportunity then to go out to the property on January the 30th of 2024, is that correct?
Yes.
And I'm going to show you here this grouping of photographs and ask you if they fairly and accurately represent the property as you observed it on the 30th, and if you will, please indicate to the court what it is that they depict.
Okay. The first one is a picture of the stack that is still on the building.
That would be exhibit 1 for the judge, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
And then the second page, which is a picture of a TV antenna that is hooked onto the side of the building, has the cable running into the barn or the garage. The third page is just a picture of the door where the entry is, and you can see that there's tracks going in and out of it the morning that I was there.
okay.
Now, what appears to be next to the door is a central air conditioning.
I don't believe that's hooked up, but you can see the wire that's all,
Okay.
it's just a condenser unit. Picture number 4 is a propane tank. It has a garden hose laying next to it. You can also see the backside of the temporary electric that Mr. Ledyard put up, which he did get a permit to do. Picture 5 is following the garden hose, as well as picture 6 over to the neighbor's yard.
What's that in the tree, Mr.?
That's a cable of some sort, but over on the fence, you can see the extension cord that was being used, the yellow extension cord on page 5.
Okay.
It is now rolled up. Number 7 is just showing the boarded up front end, so the window there, and that section is where the bedroom was in. Number 8 is the front side of the temporary electrical service. And then number 9 is it's called a H service or something to that effect, but he did get a permit to put that in. It is a temporary service for use on building. If he has a permit, he can use that for power to work on the property. It is not, I did talk to the electrical inspector, and it is not a permit to hook up the barn,
Does he have a building permit to put a building up there?
not to my knowledge.
Okay. Um, Mr. Hayden, at the present time, then, it appears that you don't know whether he's living in it or not, correct?
I do not. Like I said, the morning I was there, there were footprints going from the building to where vehicles were parked, and there was tracks leaving the driveway.
At this time, Your Honor, I request admission of exhibits number 1 through 9, which are the photographs that Mr. Hayden took of the property as of yesterday. These would be in the case number 478. I denoted those 1, and I denoted the ones in the
Yes,
other
thank you,
cases
thank
A.
you. Those are admitted also. They were actually taken on the 30th, Tuesday. But 1 to 9 are admitted.
Mr. Hayden, at this time, is the township willing to remove the unlicensed and inoperable vehicles and the junk from the yard?
Yes,
And is it requesting that the defendant pay the township's costs and attorney's fees, including your costs for going out on the living in the garage and the other violations?
yes,
You do have a citation pending for the shed, correct?
correct.
But that is not on the
It's not involved in this.
table for today, correct? Okay, are you requesting then the authority to do something with this garage? I mean, can we remove the wood burner? Can we do things to make it safe?
The township's willing to do that, yes.
Okay, all
If
right,
he's not willing to do it, the township will board it up, prevent entry, remove it or demolish it.
whatever.
They can stop with it.
Are you continuing to get complaints?
Yes,
Okay.
weekly.
Is it just him or are there other people in and out? Do you know?
There were 3 people the last time I was there. Neighbors report several, so I don't know what they mean by several.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hayden. What is your cost so far in this matter?
On both cases, my time, I believe I sent you was $288.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Mr. Ledyard, are there any questions that you wish to ask of Officer Hayden?
I boarded up the front door.
All right,
last
We'll,
night.
we'll come to you in a minute. I'll hear your side. All right, he has no questions for this witness. All the exhibits have been received. You may step down. You wish to call Officer Wiki?
Yes, please.
All right, Mr. Wiki, would you come forward? Good morning. I guess you're already under oath. We'll go ahead and have a seat and state your name for the record.
Joe Wiki.
Ms. Seaver?
Mr. Wiki, you're the zoning administrator and the building official for Sturgis Township. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And previously, there was a single wide trailer on this property. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
Can you please give us a little bit of the history?
The only thing I know about it is it did catch on fire, and then he did apply for a demo permit. I believe after the township kind of got after him a little bit about cleaning the property up.
Okay,
He did apply for that. That was on 11/21 of 22 is when
Okay.
it was issued. Permit number S-2237A. That is still an open permit due to the fact of the foundation is still there.
okay, so the foundation that's out there is for a single wide mobile home.
That's correct.
Could he replace and put a new single wide mobile home there?
No,
And that is because the township no longer permits them? Is
that's
that
correct.
correct?
Only in the mobile home.
So the current status of the property is what?
This still has open demo permit that needs to be cleaned up. And as far as zoning wise, he was denied zoning for a shed there.
Okay, now with respect to the existing building out there, can you indicate what that is?
It's just a pole barn as far as I can tell.
Okay, you've
I've
never been inside.
No, I haven't.
Uh, As a building official, you can tell the quality of construction from the outside pretty well, can't you?
That's correct.
What about, is it suitable for someone to live in? if somebody put in bedrooms or walls or whatever, would a building permit have been needed?
Yes,
And would you have permitted somebody to put in bedrooms or?
as long as he can meet the minimum square footage and stuff like that.
Okay.
There's a lot of things he would have to do to that building to make it livable.
Yeah,
A lot of things, which I don't. Very costly.
yeah. Do you know what the quality of the foundation
I do
is?
not.
Whether there's a radon layer in there or anything?
I'm sure there's not, it's polar.
Okay. What about with respect to the wood burner that's obvious from the outside?
That with permits, he can have a wood burner, but I don't know if he can have that one. He
Okay,
never got permits for that.
okay, thank you. What about with respect to the electrical permit that's been referred to recently?
So he got a permit for an electrical H-frame, which is pretty much a temporary service for like construction and whatnot. Not to hook up to the building, it's just to get power at the site.
That what that is on
Yes,
photograph number 4.
that's, yes.
Looks like a little wood thing. And what's the purpose of that?
It's just to mount the meter to meter base and get an outlet there pretty much to work on site.
Okay. Do you know whether there's water service out there?
I do not.
And do you know whether there's septic?
There is an old septic there,
Okay,
but I don't think it's been demolished either.
okay. You don't know whether there's a toilet in the building.
I do not.
Okay. Obviously, you never got permission to put a wood burner in this thing.
No.
Okay. Have you had a look at, you've seen it from the outside, correct? If I show you this photograph from Mr. Hayden, that's number 1. Does that appear to be properly installed?
I'm not a mechanical inspector, but as far as the flashing, no.
Okay.
It looks like there's actually 2 exhausts. There's the galvanized one on the right. It looks like the roof metal was just peeled back. And then there's some sort of pipe that sticks out. Maybe at once it was stainless steel.
I believe that's just sitting there.
Which one, the
The
galvanized?
small one on the right.
Okay, so that's not hooked up to anything?
I don't think so.
Okay.
From what I can see.
Mr. Wiki, is the electrical permit predicated on somebody maybe building a house out there?
That's what that's intended for as far as the H-frame and whatnot, but there is no permits other than just the H-frame.
No application for construction of a house or placement of a mobile home or anything out there? Okay, could he do that?
As far as I know.
Under
As long as he
the
can meet
zoning?
As long as he can meet all the zoning requirements.
Okay, presently then, he's not permitted under zoning to live in an accessory building.
That's correct.
And typically, he wouldn't even be able to use it or have it without a house in that zoning district, correct?
It's become a non-conforming lot now
Okay.
due to the fact of no dwelling.
Okay, thank you. I don't have any further questions for you.
That means if he were to own this piece of property and he wanted to put up a pole barn to store his boats or his tractors without a dwelling, you wouldn't be allowed to site a pole barn up in that township.
Correct. In that zoning district.
Okay. But it was there with a residence that burned down and that's been left. We've had several of these lately. A very troubling one out in Park Township. Several others where the house was destroyed and what's left is an accessory building. Had another one in Constantine. All right, thank you. Mr. Ledger, do you have any questions for Mr. Wiki? All right, you're free to step down. Anything further, Ms. Seaver?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Mr. Wiki, you're appreciated you being here. Can he be excused or you want him to
You
stick
may, if you
around?
would like, certainly.
All right, I know you've got a lot of places to be, but you're welcome to stay or welcome to go.
I've been gone for 3 days, so I got a lot of kitchen.
All right,
Yeah.
then you're
He's
excused.
got to stay, right?
Yeah, he's stuck. That's why he makes the big bucks.
That's right.
All right, Mr. Ledger, you're under oath. Do you want to tell me your side of the story here?
But then today,
You can stay right there if you wish, but I want you to keep your voice up.
as of last night, I boarded the front door. The only thing that's setting out back now is the generator. I cleaned that up. Got a pile of leaves and stuff I got to clean up. and I was gonna.
All right, so you boarded up the front door. Are the vehicles gone?
They're plated. Dodge got a plate in the windshield so they can see it. The Chevy, the plate was stolen and they,
All right, I see a
that's
a Dodge, I don't know if that's a Dakota. It has a plate on it. So that's probably a drive-in vehicle. This funky Indiana temporary plate that's written in black marker, you're saying that's a valid plate?
yes.
I'm not sure about that, but, and then there is a black, I'm not sure what that is. That looks like a real car. There's this red Dodge that's facing us that appears to not be legit. And then there's something over there on a trailer. Are those two plated?
The Extreme is not, it's on a trailer. The trailer is plated. That's a road race vehicle. The Dodge 3/4 ton is plated.
And is the generator still there?
Yeah, that's the only thing.
Well, that's just a risk of getting stolen, sitting out there like that, but,
I'll have that put in the shed today.
what's your intention here, Mr. Ledyard?
I just found a place of living now. I would like to apply for a permit to put a double modular on the property.
You have applied for one,
Yeah, no, not yet.
or you plan to?
Yes.
You were a little bit late for the hearing, which was fine because I was a little bit late too, but they called and said you were coming from Sturgis.
Yeah.
So are you living in Sturgis?
Yes, I'm 66 now. As of yesterday.
I mentioned this when we were here last time. I've had a couple of cases in my career where people died in a place like this. And one recent terrible one where 2 children died. So we take this seriously. Wood stoves and carbon monoxide and wood stove and fires and improper electrical connections and lack of septic and sewer are all things that we take very seriously. I am aware that people are struggling and they're where they are because they had nowhere to go. No one decided, I think I'll live in an unheated garage with no plumbing. It's where they ended up. I have that lady out in Park Township that won't leave her unheated barn. I think we finally got her out of there with the assistance of Adult Protective Services. But I had a man in Mottville, his place burned up. Guy in Flowerfield, the place burned up. He was living on the couch outdoors. No one chooses to live like that. It's just how circumstances leave them. But you can't do this. It's a public safety issue, it's a public health issue, and I don't want to read in a paper that you burned up in there one night. Ms. Sieber, what are you asking for?
Your Honor, if Mr. Ledyard has plates, registrations for the 4 vehicles that were identified, he should provide those to Mr. Hayden. Otherwise, the township would be permitted to remove them after 15 days. And recall, most of these ordinances require licensed, operable, regularly used for their intended purposes. So we may be able to get that proof to the Mr. Hayden. Otherwise, we'd like to remove them along with the junk. He needs to get his generator put inside as soon as possible, because otherwise we're going to request the authority to just take the junk that's in the yard out and to charge the costs to the defendant. We'd like to be able to submit a bill of costs with our fees on it. Mr. Hayden's cost, Mr. Wickie's cost for coming in today, and asked that he be required to pay that to the township treasurer within 30 days or 45 days. I don't have a good solution for him living in this building. He could certainly return it at this point to some kind of an accessory building and store things in it, but he would have to remove all of his accoutrements of living, perhaps with a new place to live. He's got a place for his bed and stuff like that. We just don't know. But
Well, it's a non-conforming use. I don't think they're asking you to tear it down, at least at this point. It was in conformance when it was put up. But now you've got a place where you can put all your stuff. Is there an overhead door in this thing, or it's just this entrance door?
There's a slider door.
Or you said it was once a fishing,
Yes.
a fishing.
bait shop, I think
Bait
he
shop.
said.
So you got a place where you can actually put the stuff in there. And I wasn't half joking about the generator. Somebody drive by and see a generator sitting out back and they take it with them. So for your own sake, you need to get that stuff inside out of the weather, but if you were there on a sunny summer day and you were cutting 2x4s, you could use a generator to run your chop saw. But you can't use it to power up this facility. And I don't know what is this hole in front of it?
That was a big locust tree.
A what? Oh, a locust tree? It's not a septic pit or anything?
No, there's a septic out back. My mom replaced that 10 years ago.
All right, and so what you would like to do would be get a permit, put a foundation in and put a double wide there. We're talking probably more than $100,000. I guess there's no reason why you couldn't do that if you could get all the permits. How big is this lot?
There's 2 separate deeds. I think it's close to an acre or so.
How far out of town is it?
Right behind Jehovah's Witnesses.
Okay, not far out of town. All right. I'm more concerned about you living there than I am the junk. That's easily remedied, but if you're in there, living there, I'm gonna find you're in contempt and I'm gonna give you a place to live at the St. Joseph County Sheriff's Department in the jail, because I don't want you burning up there this winter. Ms. Seaver, you may present an order in each case. You mentioned 15 days. And we usually use 21 for the appeal period. So let's recap. You've got to remove all non-conforming vehicles or provide proof to Officer Hayden that they're plated and operable. For example, the one on that trailer is not. And there's cars in and out of there. There's that black Nissan. There's this Dodge Dakota. There's people coming and going, and the neighbors are suspicious. And the entryway has a snow shovel, salt or snow melt stuff there. And it looks like somebody's living there and coming in and out of there. Certainly a lot of the snow is melted, but there's still some on the ground. So the front door is boarded up. That's fine. The wood stove is non-conforming, even if it is a shed. You can't have that wood stove in it. The place will burn up. Looked like somebody just chopped a hole in the ceiling and stuck a pipe out of it. So she's gonna submit one order in the old case, 22-2344, regarding the junk. You have 21 days to remove all that stuff or provide proof that the stuff is plated and operable. I'll put the order for costs in the 23 case. He doesn't need to get doubled up on. But in the 23478, that has to do with the occupancy of the property. You're not to occupy it. That stove. Problem is to pull it out of there, it puts a hole in the roof, and then he's got to be up there in February trying to patch that roof. But it's not to be used, and at some point it needs to be removed or brought up to code. You're to get the generator out of there. And the other junk will be part of the earlier case, 222344. Is there a bathroom in that building? So was there, when it was a fishing shed, fishing shop, it had a bathroom in it? Does it have a shower in it or just a
There's
toilet and sink?
shower, sink, stool, and
All right,
same bathroom.
and that's probably not, I don't know how far that goes back. Maybe it was permitted when it was originally put in there. It was put in with anybody's knowledge, but you probably had two things hooked up to the same septic system, which you can't do in any township in St. Joe County. All right, 21 days on both orders. If you got plates and insurance on those vehicles, share it with Officer Hayden. Are you working someplace?
Not this time.
But you look like you've been working on cars. And so you've been trying to take care of some of these issues?
Last night I removed everything but the generator, and underneath the tarp that is firewood.
Well, you can keep firewood on there, but you can't burn any of it in that thing, or you'll burn it up. All right, Mr. Ledger, do you have any questions?
Just I gotta stop and pay the taxes up and try to get a permit. We found a modular house.
All right. How far are you behind in the taxes?
2 years, maybe close to 2.5. I added it up last night. It comes to $1,400, and I have that.
Very good. You don't want to lose it to a tax sale. Somebody probably like to buy that piece of property.
I'm willing to sell it.
What's that?
So I am willing to sell it.
Well, maybe that's the best thing. Get your taxes paid, sell it, and let somebody else worry about it once you get into compliance. All right. At this point, I'm not ordering the building be torn down. I'm just ordering that be secured from casual entry. All right, Ms. Seaver, thank you. It's nice to see you in person.
Thank you.
And I'll store the exhibits with each file.
Will do.
All right, thank you. Mr. Ledger, you're good to go. All right, stop the record. That completes our morning. We'll be back at 2 with some criminal matters and at least one bench warrant arraignment.